Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am Madcapper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. We are going to be doing part 2 of our series on I Built Them So You Don't Have To. Today we're going to look at Galcut. Galcut is an Ogryn Tribe Spirit Affinity champion. He's an attack-based champion. Let's just take a look at him. One thing I will say is he looks aesthetically cool. He looks like he belongs to the Ogryn Tribe. They're obviously a cave dwelling. You can see everything on his kit. He's got a rock there with some skull and bone on it. Everything about that I think it looks pretty funky. It's unfortunate the back just looks like they got lazy. But the rest of it looks really cool. But that's about where it ends. What's important to the champion isn't how they look, but their kit over here. And the first thing that jumps right out at me is his HP. That has got to be the lowest HP for a starting epic champion anywhere. And it absolutely handicaps him when you consider the artifact system basically works off of percentages, right? You've got HP percent, boots, chest, and gloves potentially to use depending on what your champion's needs are. And all of those are going to be handicapped by that starting HP. The flip side is we can look at things like the jewelry, where you've got flat stat anyway, so maybe we'll use that to pump him up. But that is an unfortunate side, especially when his attack, though lower than most attack-based champions, especially epics, is reasonable. And his defense is actually pretty good starting. It's fairly high. Most attack-based champions start much lower. It's almost like he's a support-based champion, and they forgot to add his HP, and then they said, oh, let's just make him attack. That's what it feels like. He's also very slow, which means he's going to have a little bit more of a speed need than the others, but not so much that we can't figure that out. That is not the crippling effect of this champion, though. What's the crippling effect of this champion is that his kit is really confused. We'll talk about it here. He's got 3 abilities plus an aura. The aura is actually a pretty decent 24% crit rate in all dungeons. What this means is early game, if you pull Galcut and you start using him as your lead champion, he's going to help your starter hit better, and some of your attack-based champions that require crit rate in order to do their massive damage, he's going to help them along the way. Typically, this is not going to be used mid to late game. If it is, you're going to be using it on a champion that truly is a mid to late game farming champion, like, for example, a Royal Guard who's got that crit rate or who's got that attack percentage, those sort of things. You've got, I believe, a crit rate. I'm trying to think of an end game champion. Oh, Bad Alcazar, he's got a crit rate, but he's a champion that has got a full kit that you're going to use. The second part of it, and this is his A3, is a bombing champion. So immediately you think bomb squad. You think put him with Lord Shazar. Put him with War Mother if you happen to build a War Mother. Put him with these champions that can detonate, that can reduce bomb turns, those sort of things to help push the thing. It is only 1 bomb, 2-turn detonation. Not an amazing ability. 2 turns is too long in the arena, which is where bombs are most useful. And in dungeons, bombs typically suck, to be honest with you, so it's not really a huge deal. This here attacks 1 enemies in random order. Damage inflicted decreases by 25% after each hit based on attack. So this is a different skill altogether. It has nothing to do with bombs, but it has more to do with doing damage. So the hope is that first hit must be something ridiculous, right? The only way that would be good is that if that actually hits really hard and then the next ones are reduced, but that first one's only an average hit, then it's kind of a wasted skill. His A1, which has nothing to do with any of the rest of it, is attacks 1 enemy, has a 25% chance of placing a 60% debuff for 2 turns. This is actually an amazing ability on an A1. You can book it up to 50% on 2 hits. That is Tyrell level with his attack down. This is a decreased defense, which tells me right away this is a clan boss champion. Unfortunately, the other 3 skills really don't have anything to do with the clan boss, which makes him a bit of a wasted champion. He's got 3 different kits, 3 different styles. All right, we are back, and this is the team we've decided to go through with it. Gosh, it is, this is a really subjective piece to be able to try to use Galcut. Where is he going to be better? He's replacing anyone else with the defense down. So it's really, like I said, it's really going to be hard to judge what his worth is here, but we're going to give it a try here. We're going to use this team.
There's no time for regrets. I've been flying.
Well, I mean, to be honest, that wasn't his fault. That was Tyrell's fault. God, when did you become so shitty, Tyrell? Man, that guy would miss every attack down, and then he would use his A2 or A3 right afterwards. Like, yeah, who needs attack down when I have this neat turn meter reduction against the Demon Lord? So, numbers aren't that great. He actually did pretty good damage considering. I mean, he did more damage to Tyrell. Obviously, it was a strong affinity. Cult did all the work. I only had the one nuker here, so the numbers are going to be a little bit lower than if you had like a rosin or that sort of thing. But I think what the run showed is that Galcut can do his job when his job is putting down that defense down. Where he can't do his job is everywhere else. Okay, so our next test here is Dragon Run. What can he do in the Dragon Run? I'll tell you right now, I'm not optimistic. He's got a single target defense down, so outside of the clan boss, it's not really effective. It will be good on the Dragon, obviously, single target, but when it comes to the rest of the waves, he's not going to do a whole lot. I would, again, try it for a mid-game feel. I feel like there's so many other options on the defense down bracket that even if you were stuck, you wouldn't be stuck for long. Even as a free player, there are other options out there. But we brought in Tyrell again to lead because he's going to give us that defense aura to help us with survivability. I took out an Arbiter who I usually use to keep these two alive. I brought in Reliquary Tender. She's going to bring in some heals. She's going to bring in some general savability, I guess the best way to put it. And then we brought Galcut in. He's going to be our defense down. It is what it is. So here's a...
town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating. I'm waiting and always hesitating. Kryptonite desires.
Yeah, now they're all gonna die. Oh, the Heartseeker came in and won. Yeah, 2 minute 52 seconds. I don't know, like, yeah, no. All right, now let's bring him into the campaign where he's actually surprisingly a decent campaign farmer. The key to his campaign farming is to ignore his kit completely. He can actually do a fair amount of damage when built like a typical attack-based champion, ignoring the fact that he's got bombs and that his A1 is more of a support-based ability. So we bring him in here, and the key to it is to run him fast enough to do 2 turns. His A1 doesn't quite hit hard enough for that 4th hop to do enough damage. Oh, in that case, he actually left 2. But that doesn't always happen. But 11 seconds is pretty decent. If we run that enough times, you're probably going to break the game. So you see it comes in here. He leaves 1, kills it. His A3 will kill them all. It does actually reasonable damage for just being a bomb-based thing. And then boom there. So not a bad job. 8 seconds is decent. Keeping in mind that I am using very endgame gear with a decently built Great Hall. Though I will say my Great Hall isn't exactly hugely built for the Spirit Affinity. I think I have accuracy at 8 and the rest of them at 6. So it's not a crazy build. I typically have magic-based champions and void-based champions, but 8 seconds is nothing to balk at. It is actually a very decent. And the most important thing is that's not with 270% crit rate. I will say this was easier to build than it was to build my Bellower for the same purpose. And the difference in the stats, you look at the stats here, you know, who cares about HP? His attacks over 4K, yes. 209 speed, but his crit rate 95 and crit damage 118 is, you know, that 5% does come back to haunt you 5% of the time, so I would have to fix that. But honestly, that's not that difficult to build, I don't think. And you saw 8 seconds is pretty good. So I will say Galcut does have his usefulness. My final thoughts on Galcut is that he is a vault champion. Please do not spend the resources on this champion in order to create him. He has some very good looking abilities in of their own, but they do not synergize with each other. They do not synergize with teams, and his stats are too low, especially in the HP, to be useful in the way that you could and would use him. First off, in the clan boss, his HP is way too low. 11,400 is not enough to be able to use this champion effectively and have him sustain long enough in the clan boss. I've had to use, when I had him in the clan boss, I used both jewelry items as HP with HP percent just to get him to around 32,000 HP. If I want him at about that 36k to 40k that I really prefer, and have him with 4k defense, it was just near impossible. And then he's hitting so weak that you might as well find a different champion to do the job, because if you're bringing an attack-based champion in to do a support role, then just find a support to do the role. As far as a arena nuker, this is typically where the arena nukers are, in the bomb. Bombs are only useful in the arena, and they are not useful when you are a 2-turn and you are a single bomb. It's just not good enough, especially when your aura is crit rate, which has nothing to do with the damage that your bombs do. As for brutal battering, yes, it can hit very well, which is why it does well in the campaign. But again, it does not synergize with bomb barrage, because that is going to need crit rate and crit damage, because it's a standard attack piece. So you want to stack your attack for his A3, but you want crit rate for his A2, and for his A1, you don't want either. You just want him to be able to land it, so you need accuracy and just to land it, right? It's you want to be in a counter-attack team. So one of them is a support-based ability, one of them is a nuking, and one of them is arena, and none of them synergize with each other. How would I fix him? Simple. I would get rid of the bombs. I would make him strictly a clan boss specialist. Anyone who has a decreased defense on an A1 that you can book to 50% has an absolute starting ability to be one of the better clan boss champions in the game. Look at all the champions that we love to use for all the different abilities. When you think of attack down, Tyrell, exact same as this, right? 2-turn 50%. You look at Coffin Smasher, who's a rare champion who can do this with a 3-turn on his attack down for that. You've got, I'm trying to think of who all the defense down champions are on their A1. Like, there's not a lot, right? So this guy could be potentially amazing, but his HP is too low. So the first thing you have to do, you have to up his HP. You have to take him out of the attack, make him a support, give him more HP, and then get rid of brutal battering and boom barrage. You can keep the aura, because the aura could be useful early game in other scenarios where you're just starting to develop your team. I have no problem with the support champion having a crit rate aura. So Bad Elf, for example, it does work very well. Make that brutal battering something to do with heals, turn meter, or possibly a block buffs would be really good against a clan boss, or some kind of cleanse would be good. Any sort of combination of useful for the channel. I know that defense down is a very strong ability, so maybe you wouldn't be able to, like a turn meter manipulator would be really amazing. Like every time it jumps, it goes from like 30 to 20 to 10 to 5% turn meter reduction. That would be kind of neat. Therefore, it's not unbalancing him as a clan boss, but puts some usefulness in other areas where you may want to sustain a little bit longer, like arena or dungeons, right? Those make sense. And then the bomb barrage, you know, make it a every time he crits, he heals for 10%. Make some kind of support like type synergy, so that his 3 abilities can synergize with each other and be more generally useful for the team. So more HP, keep A1, synergize A2 and A3, and he'd be a useful champion. Until that happens, put him in the vaults. That's all I have for you today. I am Mad Capper, and I appreciate you joining me in the channel. I apologize for how this edit's going to turn out, because I just wanted to get it done. I wasn't able to pare down the times really quickly. I talk too much, and it spends a lot of time editing, but I am actually leaving tomorrow, and I need to get my beauty rest. So I apologize that this isn't better cut, but it is what it is. Don't use Galcut. Thank you for joining the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.